Hey, what's going on? My name's Hunter. We work with architects and interior designers to help them get not only more projects, but bigger projects. And the way that we do that is by solving the one fundamental major problem that's within this industry, and that's quality. Every time you try to do some type of advertising outside of referrals, almost always the biggest complaint is quality. People do not have the budgets, they don't have the commitment, they don't have the time. Decision makers aren't there. There's something you want to do in the next 12 to 24 months. Well, that's not going to satisfy the needs of your business today, right? And so that we have to start generating clientele that are within those guidelines that will allow ourselves to grow not only quicker but much more consistent. Okay. And so essentially, I want to walk you guys through the system and how we've actually solved that problem, the data behind it. At the end of this, you should know exactly how to do this yourself. There will be no holding back, and the curtains will be completely unveiled, and you will see exactly how the system works. Okay. Now, let's just go ahead and jump straight into that right now. So essentially, before we actually go into the major strategy, you have to know what bad marketing looks like, what most lead generation looks like, especially across the board, and exactly the biggest problem with them. Because if you're a designer and you're going to be hiring a designer, typically within the first 10 minutes of that interview that you have with another designer, you're going to know exactly if they're a qualified fit or they're not. And why? Because you've this is your bread and butter. You've done this in and day out. Okay. So you know what good design looks like and what bad design looks like. But for most people, you guys let me know if this resonates, but most times, because no architect or firm has done marketing at the highest level, especially when it comes to paid acquisition, they don't know what that looks like. They don't know what good versions of that look like and bad versions look like. They don't know what to stay away from, red flags, things of that nature, right? So I want to go ahead and show you guys what bad lead generation looks like and why it is that way. And if you've ever had an experience with an agency, you might be able to relate to some of the things I mentioned here and the result that it produces. But to just give you guys an example, the problem with most lead generation, it's very generic ads, whether it's a PDF that they're sending, a free cost calculator or some type of toolkit that's very downloadable. That is exactly a generic ad with the offer of something that's low barrier to entry that most people can just download and then jump off the face of the earth and you'd had no idea, right? And other ones that are very generic is ones where they say like, where can I find a reliable architect? Save hundreds of hours by working. Da, 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 da. It's like we're trying to solve such a surface level problem that's not going to resonate with a lot of people. And most times, most people don't know that they need an architect until they speak with a builder or they do further research. Most firms know that most clients don't even know they need an architect. So advertising that is about, hey, where can I find the most reliable architect? You're targeting an audience that is so small and so niche that it's going to create that is probably the biggest reason why everything that comes from that, and typically dreamers, never really qualified, they just like looking at these really cool pictures and going from there. Same thing with PDFs. They're very generic, very used a lot, very often. And if you chat GPT this, it'll probably say, oh, this is a very good strategy. It gets people, through the door, you get their emails, then you can reach out. But just to give you guys some data, we had a client who spent over the course of 12 months, about $1,000 a month on an ad that had the same exact offer being the PDF, etc. And what you'll find is that he generated over 324 leads. But the problem was that none of them were qualified, none of them picked up the phone, and none of them actually turned into any projects. How devastating is that, especially over the 12-month period? That's a lot of time. That's 365 days. That's crazy, right? And the thing is that they accompany these generic ads with auto-filled forms, which again decreases the barrier of entry because all they're prioritizing for you right now is cost per lead, getting the cost per lead as low as possible. But typically in doing that, you don't get the quality. That is the biggest problem that we're trying to solve here right now, right? And so when people see this auto-fill form, it's super simple. Literally, Facebook fills this out for them. So you can't get less easier in terms of a funnel than that. And most people that go through easy funnels don't really have a lot of micro commitments or actually serious about what they're getting themselves into. Therefore, you get the biggest problem, which is low quality, right? And when they accompany that with an ebook or a PDF, or they send it to a CRM for the architect to go find time in their busy day to manage or text back, what you'll start to find is that a lot of this happens. Low quality, dreamers, low budgets, people who are just curious, no really any real qualifications. So people say, why are you calling me? Who are you? I don't remember clicking on an ad. And they don't even know you're an architect. And it's all for the reason that 50% of the result of solving the problem for quality comes from the ad, right? The strategy that you're actually going about getting your message across and the infrastructure that's behind that. It's like if you had a faucet that was spewing water, if you had a leaky bucket, the water is going into the bucket and then leaking out. So we're not really solving anything, and we're not really getting anywhere. And so that's the problem with most lead generation nowadays. And the solution is exactly what I'm going to show you here. If I could find it on this big screen here. Let me just zoom out a lot. It's right here. So essentially how we've been able to solve this problem is actually much more detailed and intricate than most people think, okay? The first step in actually solving this problem is going to be personalized ads. And I guarantee you right now, these are all screenshots from our own process, right? So our own AI messenger, Agent Kong, and then we have the CRM, and then we have the landing pages and all this good stuff. I'll explain how the whole system works. But this is literally screenshots from our ads, and they actually make a difference. And the reason for that is if we're actually, instead of taking the step towards generic ads, we're actually using very personalized ads, more specifically videos, people that can resonate with each other, right? If you look at this headline here, the builder can handle the design, we don't need an architect. Typically, one of the biggest objections that you'll find as an architect is that they just go with the builder, things of that nature. This isn't a personalized ad to that specific person with that specific objection that we're trying to handle before they actually come through. And a lot of people like to learn, especially the entrepreneurs, business owners, developers that you guys are after. They're very entrepreneurial minded. And they typically, people like that get a lot of dopamine from learning, especially learning things that they resonate with or that they actively do in terms of career or the money that they make. So when we pretty much put advertising together, it's very personalized, very niche to the avatars and concepts. What we're actually doing is we're taking a step back in awareness, right? So instead of the very generic, hey, are you looking for an architect? Well, again, that's a very small portion of the market, very, very, very small portion. And so we need to go after the avatars and the ICP or ideal clients that have problems that need to be solved. So someone that doesn't know that they need an architect, but they know that they have a problem, as in like, I need to get this house built, or I want to wake up in a house that feels that, it's more for me, or even a commercial project, as in like, okay, I want to grow to this much revenue. That means I need these many buildings, which means that I need to start building and get them out, growing in that direction. Well, what's that going to start with? Well, proper planning. Who's going to do that? Well, I don't know. Right. So we need to get to the people that are problem aware first. And again, if you go to my YouTube, if you go back to the channel, you'll see another video that's titled, like our strategy to, get high quality leads for architecture. It goes into that exact marketing strategy and explains exactly how to take a step back in awareness and how we actually do it to get better results. So when you finish watching this video, do make sure to go check that one out, because that will show you exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to getting really specific with the avatars and concepts. Okay. So again, we use personalized ads that resonate with specific types of avatars in a stage back of awareness. Instead of going after people who already know they need an architect, which those people are typically very small, they're after many other architects. They're going to come to you and say, hey, what do you charge? I already got 4 different quotes, et cetera, proposals. We want to just get rid of all that and stay away from those types of people. And we want to go after people that don't know they need an architect, which is a much bigger audience. And I'll just show you how that connects in the future. Again, watch the video that I mentioned before. That will tell you exactly what I mean here by taking a step back in awareness and the importance of that. Okay. And it's actually one of the reasons why we probably get the best results in the industry. And I don't even say that out of arrogance. I say it out of confidence in data. And it's just because we actually take marketing to the next level, especially with new algorithm updates from Facebook. The old Facebook and the old strategies do not work anymore. And so you have to work with someone who's competent and is investing themselves literally in programs and things that will help them get more prepared for the new algorithm updates and moving forward, getting better, right? So that's why I told you, like, this is much more intricate than the more generic stuff that most agencies do. And that's because we invest a lot of time into each aspect of the process, right? So now that we have the personalized ads, we have a disqualification form. Now it's much more intricate than just a form that says, hey, do you have money? Click yes or click no. If they click no, they get off the page. If they click yes, they get on the page. The problem with this, though, is that most people that are pretty skeptical, they will just say, hey, I don't have $500,000 to put into a budget just to see where this goes. And the problem with that is some people will actually DQ too soon. People will lie on their form just to feel safe in this process. And the problem is that we're probably losing a lot of momentum, not going after the people who say under 500K. The problem is, though, is that we'll cover it later, but most designers don't have time to deal with these types of people, right? These qualify them, especially for the lead flow that comes through. So just to give you an example, we have a qualification form, and this is probably the major question, the major DQ question when it comes to finances. Hey, your project budget, is it under 500K or is it not? Let's just put it that way, right? If it's equal to 500K, they get DQ'd, but not DQ'd in the way that you think. They get DQ'd. Their information still goes to the landing page, but it goes to a different landing page that's not Pixel. And if you know anything about Facebook, Facebook has pixels. Pixels basically are a bucket that just stores data, right? The more data the pixel has, the better decisions they can make for the ad account, right? So who gets to see an ad at what time and what ad do they see? That's what a pixel solves. But the pixel is only good as its data, right? So we don't want the pixel to collect unqualified data that are under 500K. So when it comes to people that are over 100K in budget or 500K in budget, Facebook is absolutely trying to optimize for those. But for the audience that doesn't have or selects under 500K for whatever reason, that are just not qualified, it's not Pixel. So the Pixel's not collecting that data, but they still go into our CRM. And what happens is that we are using other forms of infrastructure to help qualify those leads to actually see if they're serious. And I'll just give you an example. We had a lead come through. They put under 500K on the form, but they had a 825K budget, almost $1 million threshold, right? More or less. And they're a developer. It's like they click under 500K to feel safe and to keep going through the process. And so if we just DQ'd him off the bat, we would have never got that lead and never booked him on the calendar. And so that's why when we do it this way, we can basically recoup, make sure that Facebook gets its qualified data 100%, but also make sure that in the back end, we're not missing out on any lost opportunities. All the holes in this bucket are being filled. Okay. And so this is an example. And when someone goes through this lead form, they actually don't get booked. They don't go to your calendar because, again, they're potentially unqualified. So they don't go to the landing page that's here where it has your calendar. It actually goes to a separate calendar, which is a calendar for us, for our team to call and qualify. Okay. So this is not even something that you're touch or involved with. Isn't that crazy? And so when someone fills out this form and they go to this page and it's, they book that call, the next part of this is immediate contacting immediately. The most important thing when it comes to lead gen is getting to a lead under 5 minutes. There's been studies to show that if you do not get to a lead under 5 minutes, they will fall off the face of the earth, and the chances of them responding are probably lower than ever. Okay. So with that said, we use a software called Agent Kong, and we're actually partnered with the founders. We actually know the founders very, very closely. And exactly, we've been able to create a bot that is built from the ground up to be an appointment setter. It's not like ChatGPT where it's like you're trying to get an AI to do be really, 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 really good at a lot of things. It almost always never happens. And ChatGPT is so easy to forget things. And it just sucks when it comes to contacting, especially when the human nuances. If you ever mentioned chatted with ChatGPT, almost always you can notice how the human nuances or connection are just not there. They don't understand like the human language to the degree that we would as humans, right? So we've built a bot from the ground up to represent act as so close to human as possible in the way that they type, in the way that they message, in the way that they understand the human nuances, etc. Even just for example, even the way a person texts, the agent is able to reason with itself and say, how did they message that? Was it like a no? Or was it a no? Or was it a no? All those no's mean different answers. And the AI is able to pick up on those and be like, hey, is there any particular reason why you didn't, you don't have like a timeline in mind? When they said no. And then it literally probes. Who would it like AI doing that is crazy. And it's crazy how far it's come. And I just express that as an enthusiasm. But essentially we are immediately texting them because the biggest problem with Facebook ads or just any type of ad is that when they go back to the platform, Facebook, what ad are they going to see? What more are they going to see? Probably more ads from different, companies or whatnot. And the problem with that is that we have to avoid that because we're doing all this work to get them into our funnel for them to go back to the platform and see someone else. Okay. And again, watch the video that's in the YouTube channel so that you can see that in more detail that I go over that I mentioned earlier. And just to give you some context, we want to get them into the DMs. We want to get them off Facebook into their SMS, their text messages. And so we immediately text them using Agent Kong, which is a very drawn out process. And this was just a half screenshot. There's way more in the back end here. It's very, very intricate. And so that we can produce very real answers so that when they get messaged, they also get immediately called. And that call comes from our own sales team. So when our team calls your leads and messages your leads, what exactly are we doing? We are qualifying them. And then from there, we book them onto the calendar once they are confirmed and qualified to what you're looking for. What this does, it solves the biggest problem in the industry, and that's quality. And so from this point, you're going to get serious prospects with very high intent. They already expect a call from you. They know that you're an architectural firm. They have in-depth qualification. They have the timeline, the budget, the commitment. They're pre-approved, etc. They are reasonable, right? They have reasonable timelines. It's not like, hey, I want to do something in the next 36 months. I want to do something now, next 30 days, next 6 months, next 12 months, next year in October, right? But they want to start with pre-development now. Okay. And when you pick up the phone, they're going to say, hey, yo, you're the guy from Facebook, the guy I clicked on an ad for, right? They book a call on your calendar, and typically they're over $1 million within that threshold of projects. Okay. That's exactly how we solve the quality problem. And again, if you ever, now this is more information, right? Like you can take this information and implement it yourself, but if you're looking for help in terms of the execution, right? There's more nuances to market than you probably think, especially when it comes to marketing. Marketing, all it is problem solving. We are problem solving. When we have a problem, we solve it, right? When we see that the quality is bad, there's levers that we can pull to help solve for that versus saying the strategy doesn't work. That's ridiculous. So with that all to say, I'll end the video here. And essentially, we are taking a new intricate step into actually getting and qualifying and handling that problem. And the way that we do it is within this process here. If you are looking for help and you want to grow your architectural firm to the next level, you want to take a look at some marketing strategies that may or may not apply to you, please, I invite you to go in the description, hit the link below, and book a call with our team directly. We'll absolutely love to see how we can serve you at that point. Let me know if this helps. Feedback in the comments, that'd be super huge. Otherwise, ciao.